Hey y'all there, Sim Lifers, how are you doing? Thanks for clicking and welcome. You already know from the thumbnail that today we're trucking. And apologies for the breaks in content over the next couple months. My last few weeks were spent organizing the opening for a new detail location for Tread Life, and while I attempted automotive journalism in that time period as well, I found out that you can't really go a solid week without Elon Musk tweets being considered news. That's not really journalism, so I'm back to making videos until there's something other than promises for products that'll probably never happen. But we can do automotive news here on another playlist, and it's a perfect use for this title. Because here we are in American Truck Simulator, a follow-up to the massively popular Euro Truck Sim. This one's no less popular, and I can see why already. There's a slight amount of character customization through picking of a profile photo, but hoping for a whole lot more that we can do with our trucks. Admittedly, when I first saw the premise, I didn't seem that interesting. Then one day, a streamer that I like on Twitch was playing it, and I started to notice how detailed the environment was, particularly when the streamer got closer and closer to the geographic regions I live in. I was just kind of bewildered at how accurate the world was looking on a screen. I immediately had to start Googling how the game was made, and I knew this was a title that I had to get for sure. Even if it's not the typical driving sim for a motorsports channel. It's still got an engine and wheels. Many wheels, which are definitely an added challenge. I started off in tutorial mode without a clue, fumbling around through the game's many controls, especially those under the wheel adjustments. Surprisingly, there are many ways to adjust the inputs, and it's quite easy to figure out. As I was binding actions where they would be more convenient, not everything went well. I managed to get out of the city without much carnage, but I ended up getting a bit lost and restarted without the annoying tutorial square stuck to the side of my screen. At this point, I became aware that we get a garage of our own that can be upgraded to look and fashions we actually like. We can have more than one and run an entire trucking company. There's just a whole lot going on in the ATS menu, the interface in general. To get started on a rundown of our very important tools, this navigation unit, which has some communication features also built in. To flip through the views of the map on the nav, hit the F5 key for different zoom levels. In the beginning, I found it's helpful just to take tasks from the Quick Job main list menu, then follow the nav's every command. Miles on the job, gas, and some fatigue scale are all included in the convenient interface here. There are further tabs below for communication that we'll get back to shortly. I've got to figure out how to drive first. Texting and driving is bad though. I did buy this along with the Washington State expansion so that I could tour my home state. Opened up the map and realized how silly it was for me to have Washington, but not Oregon. I couldn't do a haul through some of my favorite parts of the United States. So far, it's been confining me to California listings, but I'm happy to oblige as it's an area I travel around constantly since I live here. It was a big draw to the game, just adventuring around places that I already have, just to see how close the game looks. It's kind of silly, I know, but at the same time, this is a fun experience. There's a lot involved, from critically thinking about how to get out of the parking lot to watching your speedometer like a hawk. Otherwise, incur speeding infractions for reaching too high speeds. I also found out that red lights will get you. Those backcountry stops out of Sacramento with the one lane and the light that lets people through It got me for a second. I didn't quite stop before the line that they wanted, but I figured it out for the next one. These type of real-world elements definitely brought a lot more delight, knowing that there would be a selection of highways that were remote, one lane, and some even have traffic to them. All this started to make it feel a little bit more dynamic, that the routes would be varied and engaging even if they were long-distance trucking. So much to see, so many miles that the developers have put into this map. It's amazing. There's an experimentation button in the menu that lets you play with all the configurations of trucks, trailers, modifications, and accessories. Per usual, it didn't take long that I decided to check out the Steam Workshop for mods. I immediately found one for all-terrain cab accessories, or at least to play with for now. Pretty cool that I can make Pikachu my passenger. We have magazines and Coke cans everywhere, how appropriate. Or you can even go with a kitty. Delightful additions to our view from the driver's seat. You can also do skin and paint jobs aplenty, getting them from the workshop, along with what looks like script changes that will change how you play the game. This mode allows for previewing the stock game's paint jobs and wheels so that you can start making the wish list for your truck now. At least it gives a good idea of what's possible and setting goals for buying our truck of our own. The first step in build-in career mode is beyond managing our own driving. It seems that we can hire a staff and buy many trucks to fill out an entire fleet at a chain of locations. Quite the small business venture, and would make for seemingly endless goal setting in a game that's already super easy to get hooked on. I said I wasn't going to play it tonight, and then I ended up trucking for 3 hours to unlock more skills. But I'm also a complete newbie to this trucker world. I honestly don't understand the significance or how important all these upgrades are. The size of the truck cabs are obvious, but then the customization options at the dealerships can give one a lot more to think about when it comes to their investment. Trailers are a separate purchase from the truck, along with doing a bit of paint and decorating to them. Eventually I'll have to figure all this out and be getting a proper fleet vehicle for my employee to run a well-functioning transport chain. I wonder if you can specialize in business, say like auto parts and transport? I'm still working on opening up the business portion of the game. My main profile is at a crawling turtle's pace. It's sort of the gatekeeper system to the game's full activities. While leveling up, we're able to buy ever-increasingly epic truck upgrades, but also receive points to allocate into different trees for driving abilities. Putting points into flammable materials will open up jobs to come your way, as well choosing long-distance hauling by increasing the miles of jobs and the contract deliveries. There's options for higher dollar cargo to get paid more for ensuring that it gets to the destination safely, or fuel efficiency for reducing your day-to-day cost of operating. Shortcutting that, using mods on my secondary profile, I can at least show you a few parts of the game that are down the road. For me, it was to buy a truck, since I really wanted to freely explore the map just to see how detailed it was. We can teleport directly to dealers, or go online to make orders to preview the rig we would like, then park it back at the home garage after purchase. When paying for the first garage upgrade, it unlocks 2 extra parking spaces and allows for hiring employees. Doing so will start generating some passive income in theory. There are some different cost and profit metrics to pay attention to. You'll have communications coming in through nav, text, or email. The bank loans can help you expand on a team of drivers sooner and keep buying new franchise locations in other cities. For this one, I started in Spokane, Washington, where I used to live a long time ago. It's amazing how much it looks the same, though. It's also allowed me to squeeze in some Washington and Oregon footage too. Since I connected the main game to the 2 state DLCs together, it would have been strange to omit Oregon when the 2 states I was looking for were Washington and California. I wanted to be able to drive from one to the other. The landscapes on the drive from Spokane to Kennewick was lifelike enough to cause eerie feelings about the last time I was on that stretch of Highway 395. That's a story for another drive, maybe, because this is a keeper to play for a while. Maybe even get some new states available by DLC. Fight the temptation to get them all when looking at Steam. Idaho, Montana, Texas are among other options to the game's ambitious goals of covering all 50 states eventually. There seems to be nifty features, including a radio with a menu designed to go through playlists that you can copy into the game's folders. The game is a whole lot more than I expected, and I did read through the long description. This session is being played between a keyboard and the Logitech G920 wheel pedal set for a little immersion. I haven't currently set up a shifter for this. My shifter only has so many gears. There's plenty of adjustment options within the setting menu for those inputs and the feedback that comes through the wheel, but there's also a whole list of keybinds to consider. Unless you can use your mouse and wheel simultaneously, you may want to bind the look left and look right to somewhere convenient. The head swivel is so much slower than one would actually snap their own neck, but it's workable bound to the X and B buttons or even to the current unused pedal shifters. It's effortless to steer, and brakes seem a little too good for how a semi would behave in real life, but it's not a huge complaint, and the brakes can be adjusted if I really wanted to make this more frustrating. We even have a chance at stopping at these city lights. Traffic can be kind of funny and it will cut you off. Other trucks can go maddeningly slow, but then again, so do we until we get some power upgrades. Being able to play with just the truck without the trailer while freely driving around the map is quite a bit different. Not just faster, but the handling feedback changes considerably, which shows that quite a bit of thought was probably put into the physics for American Truck Simulator to make the trailer weight and inertia matter in gameplay. I wouldn't know how realistic it is to real-life trucking. I don't have any real-life experience, but I certainly would love to hear feedback from anyone who does, and what they think of this game. How realistic of a challenge does it to replicating life, or not at all? It's been fun so far in learning how to drive for me. I barely paid attention to the business portion, admittedly, because I just really couldn't wait to check out the map. Sorry, I know I shortcutted the purist, but I did this on a separate profile since American Truck Simulator conveniently lets you have a whole list that you can switch between. So this means you could just start new profiles in different cities to explore if you wanted to. I'm just so excited to check out the scenery driving through places that I've been over the course of my life. It's something that's not as easy to do for real right now, and this way it's all scaled down to 1/20th of the trip while being super chill. One can even opt for a lounge jazz background radio playlist for a relaxing drive through the vast landscape of the West Coast. Much of the beginner fun can had just by taking these quick jobs that are prepared for your trip. You may only have to stop along the way for fuel or sleep, and of course, wait stations. When free roaming, we're able to go to businesses that are around the visible map and check what jobs they offer through the company that's departing from that location. But one can also look into the freight contracts through the player menus once they start expanding on their trailer fleet. In the early levels, it's just a lot of exploration, unlocking different cities that are spread out across the map, driving in circles just to check them out if you're as bored as I am. We can weigh ourselves down later with profit and loss statements. For now, it's the open road and my fuzzy buddies found in the cab decoration mod. This incredibly massive map with so many intricacies. I'm totally nerding out here. I'm a little bit greedy and I just want more routes. It's a good thing that there's a screenshot mode for this avid automotive photographer. I did once say that I would take pictures of anything with an engine, so this definitely counts. Besides, the game gives us these things called viewpoints, where you can stop off at landmarks to enjoy how intricate the map designs have gotten in their work. I was able to find an old spot where the family used to stop off on drives. It's a split between the freeways for cars to stop that features the Multnomah Falls of Oregon along Highway 84 near Portland. I'm gonna keep this video short and to the basic point of what the game is. To be honest, I haven't built up much of a trucking empire yet, or I'd maybe have more to show. But this game will be back on the playlist for sure in the future. We can all road trip together and listen to some podcasts or review a discussion topic while previewing routes on American Truck Simulator. Driving while researching would be otherwise deadly if not for using a toy-like steering wheel. And while it's not the typical driving simulator I'd be recommending, this one, I am. Because it's just oddly fun in its own way, being an adventure and exploration. There's lots of roads in this game that look familiar to me being a West Coast baby, but I'm looking forward to the rest of the state expansions. Maybe we're going to Wyoming or Texas next. If you have a hitchhiker's request for a specific highway to travel, post it down below in the comments and I'd be happy to try to find it. Take care, y'all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and bye-bye!